Hey, y'all, come on in. Come on in. Welcome, everybody. We'll give it a couple more minutes before we get started. Feel free to put your business name and the business information in the chat. Let's network. And if you haven't subscribed to GIP Financials YouTube channel, take the time to do that now. You can scan the QR code to do that. Or if you're on your phone and you can't do the QR code, you can just go to YouTube and search for GIP Financials, and you'll see me with the hoodie on. Right, we'll be starting shortly. All right, the time is now 3:03, and we're gonna go ahead and get started, y'all. All right, well, thank you guys for coming to the encore presentation of the 2023 tax strategies. I am your host, Sonya Jones of GIP Financials, your Mr. Beyond Your Buddy. And we are going to talk about all things tax and bookkeeping because that's what we do here. And so I hope that you guys got some pen and paper. Pretty sure there's going to be some things that we're going to talk about today that you may not have been aware of. But one of the things that we do best is debunk a lot of myths because there are folks on the internet as well as off of the internet speaking inaccuracies that could get you in a world of trouble. So that is why we are here to evangelize during tax season. Technically, January is the time where we're getting all of our papers and stuff and documents together in order to begin tax filing. So that's why we are being very intentional about spreading the word about these strategies right now. So again, welcome. So Who is GIP Financials? So GIP Financials is a remote bookkeeping firm headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee, and our mission is to provide entrepreneurs, or to empower entrepreneurs rather, to prioritize their numbers and position their businesses for profit. And we do that in two ways: through bookkeeping and fundamental business finance education. But that's not all that we do, but that's our two major pillars of how we provide services and fulfill our mission statement. GIP is an acronym for Get in Position, and our client base is you, the CEO, and we serve for profit as well as nonprofit organizations as well. So it's not just me on the GIP squad, it's a team of 6 of us. And so we have 3 staff accountants, Diamond, Stantasia, and Latasha, who they are all 3 are on today, as well as our partnership support, which is Stephanie and Jazz and Steven. So if you see on our social media, um, post, you'll definitely see. I know last month Jasmine and Steven were at the City of Memphis soiree. You will be seeing Stephanie. If you're a member of the Greater Memphis Chamber of Commerce, Stephanie will be our liaison there. If you have the privilege and the honor of being one of our clients, you will be talking to either Diamond, Stantasia, or Latasha. Diamond is our facilitator for our discovery calls. Stantasia is one of our staff accountants, and she also takes care of our accounts receivable. And then Latasha leads our accounting in the management space and oversees all of the client work, and to make sure that all of our um, updates from the IRS and things of that magnitude. She's the one that is giving all of the tea and researching the tea, right? So that is our team. And a little bit about me. Of course, I'm from Memphis 10, 901 representing. I'm a wife, a mom of 5 boys. We have a blended family. But trade wise, I'm an educator. I've been an educator for over 20 years. I'm still certified as an instrumental music teacher, grades K through 12 in the state of Tennessee. But for the past 10 years, I was the founding director of finance and operations for Vision Prep Charter School. And so, with that knowledge and expertise, that is where GIP Financials was born. But that wasn't my only business. I also invested in real estate and created a piano studio for teeny tinies. That was a long time ago. But my expertise is in business accounting, and what my magic sauce is that I provide strategies for entrepreneurs to access funding. That's my superpower. So if you've ever heard me on social media, and just a few seconds ago, I called myself the Mr. Miyagi of money. A lot of people say, well, you're not a dude. Why you call yourself Mr. Miyagi? Because Miss Miyagi was not on the Karate Kid. That's why. We know Mr. Miyagi. And if you remember from the Karate Kid, if you remember Karate Kid, first of all, you're showing your age. That's all right. Because you right up there with me, big dog. You right up there with me. So if you remember a Karate Kid, Daniel's son and his mama moved to a new city, and he was getting bullied by the Cobra Kai. He was like, I had enough. I need to learn karate. And so he thought he was going to, you know, be learning all the moves from an expert. But little did he know, not to say Mr. Miyagi wasn't an expert, he was. But the way that he taught Daniel-san the fundamentals and the techniques of karate was through chores like paint the fence, wax on, wax off, sand the floor. So Danielson was like, you know what? I think you pimping me for cheap labor. I don't know what this is, but I quit. And that's when Mr. Miyagi was showing him like, this is why I was teaching you the way that I was teaching you. So I always took that as kind of part of our brand. We are a teaching ministry here at GIP Financials, and so we take those hard concepts and those very complex terms from accounting and things like that, and we break them down and make them easier to understand. So that's a little story behind that. So what are we going to learn today? So we're going to talk about the tax return forms and the respective entities for those tax return forms. We're going to talk about bookkeeping because we can't run away from it, and the 3 financial reports that you're going to need for your business. We're also going to talk about best practices to not only file your tax return, but to also reduce your audit risk. And then for our Tennessee people that are in the house, we're going to talk a little bit about TNTAP today. But a lot of the principles that we talk about around state taxes, you will be able to apply it if you're in Mississippi, Arkansas, or anywhere else outside of Tennessee. And last but certainly not least, the Corporate Transparency Act. We're going to talk about that as well. So, of course, with all things, we are giving you this information for educational purposes only. But of course, feel free if you already have a trusted accountant, CPA, attorney, or whatnot, please feel free to seek out that professional advice. We also have experts on our squad that can help you as well. Okay, so let's get this party started, shall we? All right. So first things first, let's talk about your business entity. Oh, let me say this. I forgot we got housekeeping rules. If you guys, as I'm speaking, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. Our team will be monitoring those questions and will be providing answers depending on your question. Throughout the presentation, we will have check-ins just to make sure everybody's good. Because like I said, when we're talking about money and taxes and all that stuff, it can be overwhelming. And then that gives me a chance to drink a little water. And so during the check-ins, then Diamond will, if there are any questions, then Diamond will unmute to ask your questions, and then we'll respond accordingly. But not until the end. If you want to unmute and ask any questions, we'll do that at the very end before we end our session today. Okay? All right. So let's get back to your business entity. So I organized this slide based off of the due dates for the respective forms. Okay? And so if your entity is a partnership, which means that you and another individual own the business, okay, and you have a multi-member LLC, okay, you will be filing Form 1065. That's the partnership form. If you are an S corporation or a C corporation, you will file Form 1120. For the S corps, there is a form called 1120S. Okay. For our sole proprietors and our single member LLCs, your due date to file your taxes will be April 15th, 2024. And especially with the Schedule Cs, you will also be attaching that form to your personal return, the 1040. So now I went down this way. Now I want to work it back up and talk a little bit about each entity, just FYI. So starting with the sole proprietorship, if you are just starting your business, okay, 9 times out of 10, you will start out as a sole proprietor. The difference between the sole proprietor as an entity and the LLC is asset protection, right? So say, for example, if you are a sole proprietor and I'll use my example of the Rotel egg rolls. If you're from Memphis, you know what Rotel is. That's that good old dip. You got the ground beef and the sausage in it, cheese dip. If you sell Rotel egg rolls and you are a Rotel egg roll sole proprietor, you know, folks out here love to they wait for an opportunity to pursue legal action on people. Maybe they tried to eat that egg roll hot out the grease, burnt their mouth up. They try to sue you. If they sue you, then as a sole proprietor, then all of your personal assets will be liable to be taken, right, as part of if they win, you know, the suit. So if you are an LLC and you have Rotel egg roll LLC and they attempt to sue, your personal assets will be protected because they can only sue you for the assets that are within Rotel Egg Roll LLC. Okay. If you are a multi-member LLC, that means you and your partner are liable for anything within Rotel Egg Roll LLC, as well as, corporations and such. Now, a lot of people ask about the difference between the LLC and the corporation, or when it's time or feasible for my business to file as an S corp. This is not so much as an entity question, is more so a revenue or profit question. Because if you are an S corp or you are an LLC that is filing the S corp election, S corps are required for the owner, right, or aka the shareholder, to be on payroll and to be paid a reasonable salary, right? That's non-negotiable. So that means you're going to have an added cost of business expense, rather, for payroll to pay yourself, as well as the payroll taxes and everything that comes along with that. So this is what most accountants advise their clients. If you are LLC and your net profit after expenses have been taken out, if your net profit, your bottom line, is over $40,000 and up, that's when they will suggest that you may want to file with the S corp election. Because keep in mind, if you're going to be paying yourself payroll, you have to have the funds in order to do that. So that's why. That's the big underlying factor between an LLC and the corporation. Okay. So you don't want to be in a situation where if you are an S corp, it's pretty much assumed that your company is generating a significant amount of profit, right? At least $40,000 in profit. If you know that your organization is going to be under that, just stay the LLC and file the Schedule C. Okay. I think the biggest, as far as the taxes are concerned, because sometimes you see that as well on social media, is that the self-employment tax is 15.3%, right? So if you're, paying yourself, or in an LLC, you're taking out the money as an owner's draw, right? So a lot of the times the biggest benefit, one of the benefits of electing as an S corp, and this goes with the payroll, is reducing that self-employment tax. Okay. And with the help of the payroll, that will allow you to do that. Because if you're paying yourself, you're going to get a W-2 instead of, having to pay that self-employment tax for the amount that you paid yourself within the corporation. So that's the biggest difference between the LLC and the corporation, is being able to pay yourself. Okay, there's no way around it. So I'm just telling you now, if you, in the first webinar, somebody asked, well, what if you are an S corp and you did not do payroll, but your company has a loss? Well, in that situation, if your company has a loss, then that means you should not, right? You don't have the means to pay yourself. However, there is something called a distribution. So in corporations, not only will the owner have the ability to pay himself or herself, they can still also take out additional distributions, basically additional profits that are, distributed out to the owners. If the IRS sees that you've been giving yourself a distribution and not paying yourself a salary, they're going to take your distributions and consider that salary, and then you're going to have back payroll to have to pay. So don't do that. All right. So that's the biggest difference between the LLC and the corporation. So with your entity, I recommend to my clients that they all have an entity folder. One, because you should have all of your business documents in one place. I suggest a physical folder as well as a digital folder that you have on Google Docs or somewhere that has some, security, some encryption, all that good stuff. But these are some, if not most of the documents that you should have in your entity folder. So your EIN, your business license, if you're an LLC or corporation, your registration from the Secretary of State, your business tax information for paying your business taxes. If you are a partnership, right, you should have your agreement in writing, and both parties need to sign it, right? If you have any changes made to your entity, keep those documentations on hand. If you're applying for business credit, you have your DUNS number, your bank account information. Most businesses, I would say, should have some type of insurance on themselves, particularly liability, right? So make sure that you have that because you are a business, especially our service-based businesses, and your clientele are other businesses, so B2B relationships. You need to make sure that you have a signed W-9. Also, we get any nonprofits in the house, right? If you receive any grants, some of those grantors may require you to submit a W-9 as well. But also for our nonprofits, make sure that you have your 501c3 documentation, as well as your tax exemption documents, right? So your corporation, your nonprofit paperwork, as well as your tax exemption from the IRS. So what is bookkeeping? Simplest form, simplest term is the process of tracking and recording your business's financial transactions. That is it. Tracking your income and your expenses. That's it. Why do you need bookkeeping? You need bookkeeping for 3 reasons: to protect your time, your money, and your vision. Okay? Bookkeeping helps you with your time because, like I said, if you had the entity document or entity folder and you run across an opportunity to get some funding or to get or to apply for a grant or something like that, and they need your information, you're gonna get a whole. I mean, your street cred gonna go through the roof if you can submit that documentation quickly, right? So it's good to have all that information like right there. Okay. It also protects your money because if you're looking at your numbers on a regular basis, we say at least monthly, then you're able to see like, hey, somebody didn't pay their invoice. Maybe you overpaid on a bill. Maybe you have too many subscriptions. Maybe you pay for 2 similar email platforms. You pay for MailChimp and ConvertKit. You don't need both of them, right? That's what bookkeeping will do for you. So it makes sure that you're streamlining your funds and you're able to manage your cash flow. Okay. And then it also, as you're reviewing those things, it reduces your chance of being audited. Okay. And then also it protects your vision. If your goal for 2024 is to make $100,000, how are you going to know if you made $100,000 if you don't check your numbers, right? So every month you should be, for that 100K, should be making at least $88,333.33, right? So if you didn't make it that month, then you have to be thinking about how you're going to make that up on the next month and going forward. So having goals, right, will help you make sure that your bookkeeping is aligned to meet said goals. All right, so another question. What's the difference between bookkeeping and accounting? I like to compare it between a nurse and a physician. So think about it. When you go to the doctor's office, the nurse calls you back, you get your vitals done, your weight, your blood pressure, they ask you about your medication history. They also ask you why you're here, right? And they're typing it in the system, right? That's what bookkeeping is. It's just basically data entry, but there's a way that the data has to be entered, right? So if you engage with us between Diamond, Stantasia, or Latasha, they're going to ask you about how you run your business, the different types of income, right, for you, how you bringing in income, And then also with the standard expenses, what are you spending money on in your business? And they will also be the ones to be watching how you spend those funds or bring in said income. Now, going back to the doctor's office example, as the nurse is putting in that information in the system, the doctor is reviewing that information on the other side to look at why you're here, looking at your history, um, looking at your medications, and then they will come in to talk to you, get a little bit more information from you, and then provide a diagnosis, right? So that's what accounting is. It's more so a skill as opposed to a position, because bookkeepers, like such a GIP, although we are bookkeepers, we also provide accounting services as well. So for that example, you will be able to see um, if you are putting in your bookkeeping information, if the staff account is putting that in, and then we print out the profit and loss, your balance sheet, and your cash flow statement. That's where the staff accounts will be able to look at those trends to see, hey, I see that you're spending a lot in this particular expense. What's going on there? All right. Or I noticed that this particular client has not paid their invoice in the past 2 or 3 months. What's going on here? Right. So that's what the accounting portion of it is. It's more so analysis of those financial reports. Okay. So that's the big difference between bookkeeping and accounting. All right, so when we talk about organizing your financials, this is the essence of the bookkeeping, right? So if you're doing your own bookkeeping, this is now. Now is the time. Get your stuff together. So how are we going to do this? First of all, you're going to categorize all your income and all of your expenses. How are you going to do that? You're going to do that. First of all, I hope everybody on here has a business checking account. You should. And if you don't, make sure that you should have that like yesterday. Okay. Make sure that you have your business checking account. I would suggest that you use your online banking, pull your transactions in CSV format or Excel format, get all your transactions there, then make another column for category. Is this an income or is this an expense? Right? And then I would create another column. So if it's income, what type of income is it? Is it sales? Is it service? Um, did you earn a grant? Right? So those are just some examples. Um, for expenses, it could be office supplies, it could be advertising, it could be fuel for your vehicle. It could be professional development, like if you purchased any type of ebooks, or if you attended any conferences and things like that. Those are some of the expenses, right? If you need a more like general list of expenses, go to the IRS website and download the Schedule C, because in the middle of the Schedule C is going to give you the general expenses that most businesses take. That won't be all of them, because we know every business is unique. So just remember that as long as the expense is ordinary and necessary for your business, then it should be a justified expense. Okay. So once you categorize all your income and expenses, then it's time to reconcile. Reconcile is just another big word for match. Okay. And in most cases, if you have accounting software such as QuickBooks, which is the platform that we endorse and that all of our clients use, reconciliation is a part of the QuickBooks feature, right? So basically what that is, you have to have your bank statement in order to do that. Okay, so you would need to input, if you have accounting software, your beginning balance, your ending balance, and then you will be able to make sure that all of the transactions in your bank statement match what is in your accounting software. So what if you don't have accounting software? We also have a solution for that as well. Our accounting manager, Latasha Phillips, has created what we call a DIY tracker, which is a formula-based spreadsheet that allows you to not only input your income and expenses. She also has, there's several tabs where you can customize your income and expenses in a budget format. You can create a budget, and it will also provide your profit and loss numbers, your balance sheet numbers, and it will give you some very basic cash flow data for your business as well. Again, I would still use the reconciliation method. So how would you do that in a spreadsheet or in the DIY tracker? You necessarily wouldn't need the beginning and ending balance, but I would definitely check those transactions to make sure that you, right, have all of your transactions from the bank, from your bank transactions that you downloaded, that they all match your statement. Because remember, you're going to also have, like, if your bank charges you a maintenance fee, or if your bank account draws interest or earns interest rather. In most cases, if you're not using accounting software, you're not going to know that information until you get the statement. So it's always good to reconcile your accounts that way. Okay, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how you can get the DIY tracker if you don't have accounting software later on in the presentation. Okay, and so now that we've talked about your entity, we talked about bookkeeping, now we are talking about the financial reports. So if you see here, I know I tried to do my little tree demonstration on Wednesday, but it didn't work because you can't see my branches. So I'm just going to use the mouse. So I like to talk about the financial reports um, using a tree. And so if you look at the trunk of the tree, which is the essence of the tree, that's where, you know that a tree is healthy by the trunk of the tree. That is the equivalent of the balance sheet. And the balance sheet for your business shows um the the balance sheet shows the value of your business. Okay. So it's basically going to show um your assets, how much what you own in the business, what you owe, right? Towards the business, and then also the equity or the ownership within the business. Okay. If the tree is not healthy, right, it's not going to last long. If your business is not healthy, it will not last long. Okay. So, with that, if the tree is healthy, it's going to yield leaves and fruit. This is where we equal this to the profit and loss statement, right? So if the tree is healthy, it's going to produce fruit just the same as your business. If your business is healthy, you will see a profit, okay? And that is your revenue. If you're bringing in more revenue than paying out expenses, that's what that profit is. Now, let's talk about the water down here, right? Because the tree has to receive nourishment, right? So we got those roots, and the water is coming down from at the bottom, like under the ground, to nourish the tree. That, my friends, is your cash flow. Okay, the tree cannot survive without some type of nourishment, right? Water. No business can survive without cash. No business. If your business is not bringing in cash, then your business will not survive. It cannot yield fruit, right? If it's not bringing in cash. So that is the metaphor, if you will, for our financial reports. So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper. So let's break these down. So the profit and loss statement is going to be the report that your tax preparer is going to need for tax filing. It won't be the only report. Sometimes, depending on what you own in your business, they may need to see your balance sheet. But in most situations, you will need to report submit rather your profit and loss to your tax preparer. So with the profit and loss, it's going to show how your business performed throughout the year. Okay. It's going to show how much your business performed throughout the year. So the big metric that we want to see, or that your tax preparer is going to want to see, is the net operating income. Okay, so your revenue minus your expenses. If your net operating income is a positive number, then you are going to be paying self-employment tax on said number. That's 15.3% of whatever income that is. If your net operating income is a loss, that means you spent more than you made. Okay, two things. If you have a general operating loss or net operating loss, first of all, don't freak out. You are able to report that loss on your taxes, but hear me clearly. A lot of people you hear on the internet saying, oh, you can deduct this, you can deduct that, you can deduct everything. But if you deduct everything, you will not be showing that your business generated a profit. So when it's time for you to get funding, it's going to show that your business hadn't made any money. In other words, you are running a very expensive hobby. And that's not what you want to do. We are all in the business to make money. Amen. So that means that as your business is growing, your profit should increase as well. There's no way around it. You got to pay taxes, right? So the purpose of filing your taxes is just to make sure that you reduce your tax liability as much as you can. All right. But don't go in expecting to write off everything, especially if you want your business to grow. Okay. So you just have to make sure, again, that the net operating income, we want it to be positive. We don't want it to be negative. The first 3 to 5 years of your business, 9 to 10, is probably going to generate a loss. But even in that, we want that negative number to increase as well, to where it's getting closer to the profit line, right? Because that can be one of the triggers for an audit. So the balance sheet, again, the balance sheet is showing the essence of your business, how your business is doing, the positioning of your business, right? So if your the purpose of rather the balance sheet, because it's going to show a balance of whatever you own in assets should equal or balance the combination of your liabilities, what you owe, and the equity, the value of your company. So some examples of your assets would be your checking accounts, your cash on hand. If you sell products, your inventory that you have on hand that have been converted to sales. Any fixed assets or equipment that you may have to run your business. And as well as missing one, cash, inventory, fixed assets. I'm missing another one, but neither here nor there. I'm gonna keep going. The liability is what you owe. Okay, so that is any type of credit cards. And that's what I meant for assets. Accounts receivable. That I knew was one I was missing. So it's cash, inventory, fixed assets, and accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is if you submit invoices to your clients. Accounts receivable are just the balance of the unpaid invoices. Okay. Now let's go back to liability. So whatever you owe, if it's a loan or credit card, if you have payroll, any type of payroll tax, all of your businesses should be paying some type of business tax to the state. Those are examples of liabilities. And then equity, right? The ownership. I know most of you have probably heard these two terms: owner's compensation, not owner's compensation, owner's contribution and owner's draw. Okay? Owner's contribution means that you are taking your personal funds and contributing it to your business. That means you're adding value to your business. Owner's draw means you take the profits from your business and you pull those funds out for personal use. Okay, if you are an LLC or a sole proprietor, that's totally fine, right? If you are a corporation, this is called a distribution. All right, but remember, like I said, there should be no distributions going out before your payroll, before you as the owner get paid. Okay, so that's what the equity is. The balance sheet items are listed in order of liquidity. Why? Because the balance sheet is the report that the lender wants to see. So if you're asking for a loan, they're using the balance sheet to see how you're going to pay them back. And the balance sheet is categorized in order of liquidity. So God forbid if you default on a loan, they're looking to see what they're going to take first. So please have your ducks in a row. E-I-E-I-O. All right. So we talked about the profit and loss, the P&L, the balance sheet. Now we're talking about the cash flow statement. You remember the tree in the water? No business can survive without cash. Okay. So the cash flow statement is just basically informing you how the cash that's coming into your business, how it's being dispersed. Okay. Is the cash being used for operating expenses, like everything that's in the profit and loss? Is it used for investments, right? Some people use the cash to invest in other things to generate more cash, or for financing. Like if you get a loan, is that cash being used to repay back the debt? The top question a lot of folks ask, especially when we start pulling reports, they're like, hey, I saw the profit and loss that I had a $10,000 profit. I only had $10,000 in the bank. I know. You want to know why? Because cash and profit are not the same. Remember what we said about the profit and loss. The profit and loss report is to tell you how much your business performed, right, over the course of the year. So say, for example, your 2023 net operating income, you generate a profit of $10,000, but you only have $2,000 in the bank. What happens to that $8,000? The cash flow is going to tell you, right? Did you use it to pay off debt? Did you use it to pay yourself? Did you use it to, pay your expenses? So that's what the cash flow statement is going to tell you. Your balance sheet is going to tell you that too, but the cash flow statement really going to give you the T. So that's the difference between profit and cash. Okay. All right. So we are at our first check-in. See, I don't see that we have any questions. So we good to keep going. If y'all have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm gonna take a little swig. Are y'all learning anything? Give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Diamond, thank you. I see your thumbs up. Hope y'all learning a lot. Hope you're learning a lot. So we're gonna keep on trucking. Got something in the chat. Yes. Thank you, Sanisha. All right. Shout out to my inner circle. Thank y'all for coming. All right, we're gonna keep on trucking, y'all. So let's talk about these state taxes. Like I said, most of this is going to be specifically talking about the state of Tennessee, but hear me clearly. A lot of these general principles can be applied to Arkansas, South Carolina, Mississippi, right? Anybody with outside of Tennessee. So if you have a business, okay, first of all, you want to make sure that you contact your state's Department of Revenue to find out what types of business taxes you will be responsible for in the filing due dates. Okay, that goes for everybody. So call them and say, hey, I just started a business. My business is XYZ. What business taxes am I responsible for, and how do I, register? Okay. Now, for the state of Tennessee, if you start a business, you start with your business license, right? You go to the county clerk, register for your business license. That information goes to the Department of Revenue, and then your renewal will come from them. We use a system called TNTAP. It's an online resource where you can pay your taxes online and all that good stuff. If you are an LLC, there's a distinction between the Department of Revenue and the Secretary of State, because a lot of people assume that, just because you went to the Secretary of State and you register for your LLC, that in itself is supposed to take the place of the business license, and that is not the case. Okay, people use LLCs for a myriad of reasons. Okay, but if you are using your LLC to operate business within your state, you need a license. I'm just gonna continue to preach that because remember I told you about Rotel Egg Roll LLC. You just don't want to be in those situations where you get Rotel Egg Roll LLC and they do not have any documentation that Rotel Egg Roll LLC is operating business in the state of Tennessee or wherever your respective state is. You just don't want that smoke. Just don't want it. Okay? So that's what I recommend to all of my clients. Okay? So once you, as an LLC, you sign up for your LLC through the Secretary of State, then you create your you apply for your business license with your respective county. Okay, and then from there you have to pay for an LLC, not just your business tax, but also your franchise and excise tax. But that is if your LLC has any tangible property. Okay, if you don't have any tangible property, it's $100 minimum, right, to pay said tax. But hear me clearly: the $300 annual fee is for to keep your LLC active. It is not for your taxes. Okay. All right. Like I said, that is for Tennessee only. If you have an LLC in your state, make sure one that you check your Secretary of State to make sure that your renewal guidelines that you are fully aware of those, and then you check with your Department of Revenue to see what taxes you have to pay because you're operating your business within that LLC. Okay, and last but not least, sales tax in the state of Tennessee says 7%. That goes through the Department of Revenue as well. For the state of Tennessee, April 15th is the deadline to renew your LLC as well as to pay your respective taxes. Okay, so this is another reason why we suggest that you go ahead and get the ball rolling now. Okay, and especially if you have a license, because with the license you will they do give you 30 days of grace. So the absolute latest is going to be May the 15th. But after April 15th with that LLC, if you don't have it renewed, then they're gonna start looking for you. All right. So you don't want that. A big update with the Tennessee business license. So the income for the licenses has been adjusted. So in state of Tennessee, we have two business licenses. You have a minimal license and a standard license. The minimal license before you have to have generated between $3,000 and $50,000. Anything over $50,000 will require a standard license. Okay, now it has changed. If you generate between $3,000 and $100,000, now your business license is considered minimal, which will save you some dollars, right, on the back end. Okay, if you've made, and this is gross revenue, okay, before expenses and all that stuff, if you have made over $100,000, nothing has changed with you. You can still register through do your renewal through TNTAP and all of that. But if you're a minimal business license, especially for those folks who generated between $50,000 and $99,999, right? You can actually apply for the minimal business license. TNTAP at this point will be optional to you because it's really only for those who apply or who have the standard license, but you may still need TNTAP if you're an LLC to file your franchise and excise tax. So don't get rid of your account just yet. Okay, but if you qualify for the minimal license, go to your respective clerk. We're in Shelby County. Go to the Shelby County Court Clerk, and you can get adjusted for the cheaper license. Okay, but every business within the state of Tennessee that's registered with TNTAP should have gotten a letter. I got mine. That was Q4 last year. So Again, this is specifically for the state of Tennessee. All right. And again, if you need any information from the Tennessee Department of Revenue, here is their information. If you notice the highlighted information, January 30th, they are doing a business tax webinar, and I guarantee you they are going to be talking about what I just talked about. So Latasha, please put the link to the webinar in the chat for those Tennessee residents, and go ahead and register for this information right now. Okay. And also, shout out to the Tennessee Department of Revenue, because they have a YouTube page, and I was pretty impressed. They got a lot of good videos on there, and they do take the time to explain the different types of sales tax and things like that. So shout out to the Tennessee Department of Revenue for that. All right, let me take a little swig. All right, so let's talk about the Corporate Transparency Act. So there's been some folks on now going to be on space internet just talking, boy, it's just been a whole mess. So first of all, I want to say that I know a lot of the internet folks and social media folks have been basically using scare tactics, particularly around the penalties, right? Yes, there are some significant penalties, due to this compliance issue, but it does not mean that you just go ahead and start, ordering stuff and joining folks' classes and things like that. Um, First of all, what I'm going to suggest that you do is go to this website, fincin.gov/BOI. The name of the form is the Beneficial Ownership Information Form. That's the form that you are going to complete in order to be compliant with the Corporate Transparency Act. Why is the Corporate Transparency Act now a thing? My honest opinion, this is my personal opinion, is because I'm kind of picking PPPs, right? Because now the federal government wants to know for every LLC and corporation that is formed, they want to know who the owner or owners of said organizations. So if you are a sole proprietor, this does not apply to you. Okay, so that's the first thing. Go to the website. Now that the form came live January the 1st. So this is what I would suggest that you do. I want you to get informed first. Go to the FAQ page. Go to the brochure and read up on that. This particular video, now they did change the videos after January the 1st. I would suggest go to this video where Secretary Nelson is giving you very specific information about the type of entities that need to submit the form. And he also talks about specific definitions that you need to be aware of regarding the form, and how, walking through how to complete it. So here's what I know Tasha and I were talking about this form before January the 1st, because there are quite a few attorneys and accountants, because due to the penalties that come with this, who's going to be completing said forms, like if you want to delegate this to an expert. Based off of some of the social media groups that we're in, several bookkeepers, CPAs, and even attorneys are very skeptical and about completing this form, just because of the penalties, and also, I guess, thinking about the liability that goes with this. They just don't think it's worth the risk. There are a couple of kind of like LegalZoom-ish type of websites. One that's called CorpNet, CorpNet. That's the only one that I've seen that's charging people, like, I think, $199 to complete it. But if you're a single member LLC, y'all, it shouldn't take you that long to do it. I have not done mine yet, because I was waiting to see if the government was going to delay anything, or try to, how they like to, do rules and pause things. So if you have an LLC or corporation and it was formed before January the 1st, 2024, you actually have a whole year. But I'm here to tell you now, we are not going to wait a whole counting year to do this, right? We're going to do this before the deadline. So I have not done mine yet because, like I said, I was waiting to see if the federal government was going to have any delays. But now I see for the most part, everything's still kind of smooth sailing. I want to do mine. And once I do mine, of course, I'm going to give you guys some content to let you know how to do yours, just as guidance, right? So just be on the lookout for that. But please go ahead, take advantage of this website. If you need to take a picture of it, you know, do that and just get informed. Just get informed. That's one of the things that we do. We are going to send you straight to the source. We're not going to send you to a guru, right? We're going to send you straight to the source, right? Because when it comes to compliance, we want to make sure that you're doing it right. Okay. So let's talk about some common audit triggers. First of all, you got to review your stuff, y'all. Typos are by far the number one reason folks get audited, right? Especially with those EINs and SSNs. So please make sure that you're reviewing your stuff before you submit anything, okay? If you are, like I said, a service-based business, right, you should have a W-9 already completed and in your entity folder, okay? So if you have the W-9, you should complete it in one of two ways. If you are a sole proprietor, box number one, you put your good government name, and then in the middle of the form, you put your social security number. If you are a business, okay, meaning that you have an EIN to your business, box number one should be the name of your business. However, that name is on the EIN letter that was sent to you by the IRS, and then you put your EIN number there. Please don't put the name that you want your business to be and your social security number. The IRS gonna be like, what's up? Don't do that. Okay. On my YouTube channel, GIP's YouTube channel, we have the form or the video how to fill out the W-9. Okay. So that's one of the audit triggers. Okay. And please, y'all, report your 1099 income. If a business is sending you a 1099 form and you don't include that income with your taxes, guess what? The IRS is going to tell whoever sent you that 1099, hey man, you remember rotated egg rolls and you reported their income? Hey, they ain't even filed on their taxes. So guess what? What's going to happen? If you and that client engage going forward, the IRS is going to make sure that that client withhold at least 23% of whatever that you earn from them to give to the IRS, okay, for back withholding. Just go and do right and report your income, please. We don't need any of that foolishness today. Got it? And let me also say this. If you are a business and you pay somebody to do business with you, another service-based business, I use GIP Financials, right? So if you engage us to do bookkeeping, right? You should, one, we're going to give you a W-9 for 1099 purposes. You're going to submit the 1099 to us so we can report that income to the IRS when we file taxes, okay? If you have a similar business to where you engage and you send them a 1099 and they start acting crazy with you, or you start organizing your financials and you realize you paid a particular vendor over $600 between January and December, and then you ask them for a W-9 and they get ghost on you, don't you give them another cent. Don't you give them nothing else. Because if they are a business, then they should be prepared to report that income to the IRS. And I'm going to stand on that. Right? So that's called integrity. And that's all I got to say about that. If you have missing income or significantly high income, like 2022, you reported like $50,000. You know, we do serve the God of abundance, but that super high income, and you made 50 million the next year, the folks go, hey, time out, man, what's going on? Because your expenses and stuff should reflect. Your business should reflect all of that, right? Not to say we're gonna bring in the abundance, but you gotta make sure that your expenses and stuff match uh that level of income potential, right? Next thing, excessive expenses all the time, meals and travel. Meals and travel. You gotta make sure that if you're going to deduct a trip, you gotta document that thing from the rooter to the tutor. Conference, itinerary, hotel, everything. It has to look, it has to be business. It ain't gonna look, it has to be business related. Okay. When it comes to meals, if you are at the conference and you are feeding yourself, you can deduct that. But you just can't, deduct a meal. Like if you leave in your house, and you just going to get a happy meal while you going from client to client. You can't deduct that. But if you are having a formal business lunch with a client, right? Say if we decide to do a discovery call, um, at Roof Chris, right? We can deduct it. But you have to again document that engagement, okay, to make sure that it's justified. So, home office, you have to make sure also there is a home office tax form that the IRS has. I want to say is form 8892. Don't count me on that, but there is a home office deduction form. How that works is you should have a portion of your home, square footage, right, of your home, a little piece of your home, little piece, right, that you dedicate to your home office compared to the total square footage of your house. So say, for example, that's 10%. Whatever expenses that you need for your house, such as your utilities, your internet, things like that, those deductions, 10% of those can be deducted for your home office sake. Now, say for example, like where I am conducting this webinar, I have a separate room in my house for my office. If I decide to repaint my office, just the office, I can deduct the full thing for it because that was for my office, if that makes sense. So again, you have to just make sure that you document that. If you've had past due taxes in prior years, right, that could lead to an audit trigger. The type of industry that you have for your business could possibly be an audit trigger. So be wary of that, be aware of that rather. And then again, consistent loss on your Schedule C. Remember I said 3 to 5 years, but even if you have loss, it should definitely just be increasing, right? So like you are making an effort to be profitable, right? So again, I'm gonna keep preaching this 1099. I added this slide for today because I did not do it Wednesday. So again, did you pay another business or individual over $600 to provide services for your business? Right? If so, then they could qualify for a 1099 form. But how did you pay them? If you pay that individual, say they sent you an invoice through PayPal or some type of Square or something like that, if you pay them directly through one of those merchant services, there's a good chance you won't have to give them a 1099 because Square and PayPal will do that for them. Okay. But if you pay them through cash or check or maybe even ACH, you will need to submit a 1099 on that person or business behalf. Again, if you are a service-based business or an independent contractor, please give your folks a W-9 for their records upon issuing an invoice. That's just best practice. Again, if you go to GIP Financials YouTube channel, I do a whole video on how to complete that W-9 form. Okay. If this is why you need to go ahead and get your financials organized because the deadline to file those 1099s is January 31st. So hustle team hustle. So how do you file your 1099s? If you have accounting software, if you have QuickBooks, there's already a feature where you can e-file your 1099s. But you can also use tax1099.com. Latasha has more experience with tax 1099 than I do. I only had to use it once, but she's used it more times than I have. Okay, so there you go with that. If you got any questions about the 1099, please put in the chat. But I'm telling you now, you won't know until you organize your financials. Tax filing best practices. All right, y'all ready? We're gonna say 30% of your income for business taxes. That's federal and state. That should be enough for federal and state. Create a separate account if you need to for discipline purposes. Okay. Anything tax related. Don't you ask your cousin now. Don't even take our word for Bible. You go to the IRS, okay? Because we're human, we can misinterpret some things. You go to the IRS.gov first. I would even say take a step further and sign up for their newsletters for small businesses, okay? Or even follow them on social media. Print the tax form and the instructions. So if you file in the Schedule C, print the form and the instructions, okay? And prepare as far as your comfort level takes you. This is not the time to try to be a hero because you're trying to save some money. This is not the time. Right? Especially if your business has grown and if there's something that you really don't know how to file something, if somebody told you something from the state or whatever and you didn't understand it, you keep asking them questions, you keep drilling them until they break it down to where it makes sense for you. Especially them state folks, because that's what our hard-earned tax dollars are paying for. Hallelujah. Right? Get you some assistance, y'all. That's why we on this webinar for free to help you out. Again, sign up for the IRS and SBA newsletters and then build your circle, right? There are plenty of nonprofit advocates who specialize in serving entrepreneurs in the city of Memphis. These are all of these organizations that I have right here. GIP Financials has worked with every last one of them. Every last one of them. Where we provided either a workshop with members of the organization. This is just a piece of it. So check in your respective cities to make sure that check your local government to see if they have a small business department. I will start there first and then just kind of, work your way out. I want to say the Black Business Association, I know that's nationwide. The Women's Business Center South, that's a regional organization, but I think they're a part of WeBank. I think it's WBENC. I believe it's called WeBank, right? And then every city should have a chamber of commerce, right? So that's 3 resources right there. Check your financials regularly, like I said, at least monthly, y'all. Check your numbers regularly. And then also know the financial timeline. A lot of people don't know this information, but between January to July, especially for our financial professionals, that's when we're looking at prior year numbers, getting everything solid for tax filing, and then we're also keeping it in one ear, right? Your current tax year updates because we're trying to get some FYIs and hey big heads, if you will, from the IRS and stuff like that. But on the other ear, we're trying to get you guys situated. Like GIP right now, we are hustling to make sure that we got all of our current clients taken care of before February because it's go time. And then August to December, as we're doing your numbers and you're monitoring your numbers, hopefully we get a chance to, work with you. But that's when we're going to start looking at trends and start by Q3, we already should know the game plan for reducing your tax liability for 2024. All right. So that is the strategy. So your homework, and I'm going to actually send you this tomorrow when you get the replay. You are going to get the tax prep checklist. Okay. So as you're preparing for your tax filing, everything that we talked about is right here on this list. Okay. So again, I know that some of these metrics are specific to the state of Tennessee. But again, if you are not aware of your state business tax obligations, make sure that you contact the Department of Revenue, and if you're an LLC, your Secretary of State. Okay. Again, make sure that you're also looking at FinCEN for the Corporate Transparency Act. Watch those videos and download those PDFs. So, how to work with GIP. So before I get started here, Diamond, did we have any questions?
Yes, we had one. They wanted to know, can they deduct internet or percentage of the cost from their taxes?
Yes, if you have a home office, then yes. If you have a home office, yes. Now, if you have a brick and mortar, then absolutely. So if you have a dedicated space, like if you have a whole brick and mortar or a whole office, that whole thing is deductible. But if you have a home office, it's based on whatever percentage of the amount that you're dedicating for your office can be deducted. All right. So anything else? Latasha, did I miss anything?
Nope, you are spot on.
All right, just want to make sure. I always gotta hold myself accountable. Shoot. All right, so how to work with GIP. So we're introducing to some and presenting to others our tax prep and filing services. So what we've noticed, especially last year, is that a lot of people put an emphasis on taxes, but not so much on bookkeeping. And with a lot of the services that we provide, and especially like doing discovery calls, we're undoing and cleaning up a lot of what people thought they did, right? When it comes to tax filing, we're doing a lot of taking, looking at second opinions and things like that. So we want to make sure that we put something in place that was affordable, right? But then also was going to give you a two-step process to make sure that not only you organize your financials, but also filing them properly. So with the combined forces of GIP Financials and Legacy Pro Accounting led by the genius herself, Latasha Phillips, we are providing both. So this is for you if you need guidance on organizing your business financials. If you know good and well you ain't done nothing with your income or expenses, this is for you. If you don't know how to file your business taxes, this is for you. Because in order for you to file your business taxes, you have to know how much money you made. Okay? If last year's tax filing experience was unsatisfactory, come on, let's just, I love you, right? You let your cousin them file your taxes because they do business taxes. And or you found somebody that was seasonal that did that rapid refund stuff, and now you get a letter from the IRS and you try to reach back out to them and they ghosted you. You need to be here with us. Or if you prefer a resource that's year round, like I said, we are not seasonal by any stretch of the imagination. We are here 12 months out of the year. So if that is you, then you need to be here with us. So let me give you a brief overview of the tax services, right? We are providing individual tax returns as well as the business tax returns, particularly for the Schedule C, sole proprietor and single member LLC. And another benefit is you can pay your tax filing fee via refund if you qualify for a refund. And as well is that Latasha will be providing audit protection for those who have partnerships, corporations, they're a little bit more higher level. Well, now we'll kind of have to kind of figure that out because Bro Tunstall lost his mom earlier this week, so y'all keep him in prayer. But if we need to step in and do some of the partnership and corporation returns, we are able to do those as well. Tasha, was there anything that you wanted to add here?
Not necessarily, only that we do the audit protection is added on as an additional fee, and we also offer like identity theft protection as well.
All right. So we keeping you covered on all costs, y'all, because yeah, the block be hot during tax time. And we want to make sure that we put you guys in a proper positioning. Okay. So that's the tax service. But then let's talk about tax prep. That's another fancy term for bookkeeping, right? If you have not done any of your financials at all for 2023, can I just be honest with you? That's going to be an investment, especially a done for you service. So you're like, oh, Sonya, can you take all the receipts? Can you, Diamond and Tay and Latasha, and y'all just take all my receipts in this Ziploc bag and just make it happen, Captain? We can, but it's gonna be at minimum a four-figure investment because you're asking us to do 12 months of financials within 2 to 3 months. I'm just gonna be honest with you. That's gonna be a lot of money, but I think it will be best instead of having us do it for you and you still not be aware of what's going on with your numbers, that we do it together. So introducing the tax prep bootcamp to where you will be working with us, right? This is a group coaching course to where we're walking you through how to organize your financials, view your reporting data, teach you how to interpret the data. So you'll be able to plan for your business accordingly, right? That sounds better. And the cost is reasonable, right? For an investment of $597. This also comes with the DIY tracker software. If you already have QuickBooks, good, you straight. But if you need the DIY tracker, you also get it as well. Okay. So again, you're going to get the entity folder checklist that we showed you in the PowerPoint. So I hope you already took a picture of it. The group coaching for the boot camp is 2 1-hour sessions, right? Because we don't want to overwhelm you. The first session is going to be February 21st at 7 o'clock. The second session is going to be February 28th at 7 o'clock. So the first session, we're going to walk you through how to put your information in. Of course, there's going to be some pre-work involved, so you'll be getting some emails from us to help you prepare. Between the 21st and the 28th, of course, you're going to have some homework, and we're going to be walking through some other things as well in between, right, with some email guidance. We're going to spend session number 2 talking about the reporting, the profit and loss, the balance sheet. And then as well, we're going to do some planning, right? Some financial summary and review. This $597 cost is separate from the tax filing. So you'll do the tax prep boot camp, you'll get your data, and then hopefully you'll pass it on to Latasha so Legacy Pro can file your taxes. Okay. If you want to reserve your spot, because I know that this is exactly 30 days away, you can reserve your spot either for tax filing, tax prep, or both for only $50. Here's the cool part. If you decide to commit and do tax prep and tax filing, we're going to give you the DIY tracker for free. So you're going to get $97 off of the package. Okay, got it. So we are always making sure that you not only do you invest, but you benefit within the investment. Okay. And last but certainly not least, because we are all entrepreneurs on here, mindset is probably the biggest thing that's going to hold you up. Okay. I, as well as Latasha, and I think Sanitra, I didn't see everybody else there, but any of my other inner circle folks are on here. We have an amazing coach in Sean Strickland, and for the next 3 days, beginning tomorrow, she is hosting a $1 Million Expert Challenge. If you guys are stuck in trying to figure out, like, I didn't make enough money as I wanted to this year in 2023, you need some ideas, or you need somebody just to give you a swift kick in the pants, child, this woman right here is going to do it. She's going to do it. And God has given her a new framework called the $1 Million Expert. We have already experienced a portion of the $1 Million Expert Challenge, and when I tell you that we have already benefited greatly, as a matter of fact, the collaboration between Latasha and I was a fruit of that. So we wanted to invite you guys to witness the magic that is Sean Strickland, that is our coach. The admission is free, but if you want VIP, it's $47. Latasha is going to add the link there as well. If you have not experienced what I call Pastor Sean, you're going to be in for a treat. You're going to be in for a treat. So definitely take a picture of this. You can register at the link that's in the chat. Again, general admission is free, but VIP is $47. If you need your mindset renewed, this is it. Okay. So any other questions before we log off today? Any questions? Yeah, I see you, Tanisha. Yes. Yes, come find out your peace and community of brilliant Black women. Yeah, you would not be disappointed at all. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, maybe my deacon ain't. Why don't you come? Natasha, did you have some love?
I do. I want to talk about the tax prep boot camp one more time. For the price that it's being offered, like you're not going to find that anywhere else. To where you're going to find a team of accountants and bookkeepers that's going to basically hold your hand and help you get ready for tax season and alleviate some of the stress that you experience. Like cleanups alone are 4-figure investments. And then you have to go find somebody to do your taxes. So with that being said, like y'all need to join this camp because most people don't realize like when me and Sonya collab together, like it's always a wealth of knowledge and we always over deliver in our sessions with our clients. So if you're still on the fence about it, I recommend that you go ahead and secure your spot now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Latasha. And so, as promised, we are going to provide the replay for this webinar. And then with that, we'll make sure that you have not only the checklist, but you'll also get all the flyers that you saw here today. And Latasha, can we also send the tax filing fee list as well? Yes. So you're going to get all the information, right? Because that's another part of our brand is transparency, right? We ain't hiding jack. All right. Yes. Thank you, David. All right, y'all. Well, if nothing else, thank y'all again for coming on today to the encore. Y'all actually got a little bit more than the folks to be there. Don't tell them no. All right. So if you want to get with us, here is where you will find us. That 901-451-9649. You can actually text to that number if you have any questions. Facebook, we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and again, here's our YouTube channel. Diane, Tasha, one of y'all make a note for me to add the link to the W9 video. I'm gonna put that in the replay package for everybody, so y'all won't have to be going around finding it. All right. Thank y'all so much for coming this evening and this afternoon. I hope that you learned a lot. And we will catch you guys on the next one coming soon. All right, y'all take care.